Wednesday 19th of October 2011, it's 11:12 AM. Entering Stephensons Solicitors to find out about LSC, and how they got involved in Stephensons and JHP employability and Job Centre Plus.
Right, what can I do?
Right, when I give my information in, like wage slips, who else has access to them? You know, like, to prove I were working to you lot.
You mean for legal aid?
Yeah. Well, how come I've got a letter saying that the LSC has got access to my information and it's under family and law?
No, they've not got access to it unless they request access to it.
But it's been ticked off on the letter, what I've got. Because what it were is...
Mr. Ferris, when you obtain public funding for legal help, advice and assistance to be paid for by the state, as you have done, legal aid,
Yeah.
that's dependent upon you proving what your income is, whether that's benefits, wages or whatever else. We do an assessment of your means, as we did. We needed to do a further assessment of your means when your circumstances changed, because you commenced work, and we informed you that because your work was relatively low paid, you were still eligible for legal aid. That doesn't go any further than us here in this office, unless that file is audited by the Legal Services Commission, who fund this work.
Who is that?
Well, they're the Ministry of Justice who run legal aid.
Ministry of Justice. Right, that means Circle, because they're involved with them. They're actually based on company on them.
Right. Mr. Ferris, legal aid, like anything that you receive from the state, is dependent, if it's dependent, on a means test. So in order for you to claim a benefit, for example, if you say that you've got a bank account, then ultimately the DWP can have access to that bank account.
Yeah, only if you give them the access.
No.
Oh yeah, it is. If they right,
Mr. Ferris,
when you sign,
tell me and teach me the law.
I do know the law.
Right.
To be honest,
Well,
I really
clearly,
do.
if you believe that that's the case, you don't, because under the Social Security Administration and the Social Security Fraud Act, they do have the right to look at your bank statements, and they can do that.
What, without my consent?
Yes. As long as they've got reason to believe that there's something to investigate, they can do that.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm not here to discuss interesting...
No, I'm just trying to get this into my head right. Now, I lost that job because I got arrested by the police by GHP employability, Keith Lockley. Right? Now, what I want for no
You
is
lost what job?
the job I had.
This job that you recently had?
Yeah.
Right,
I was
okay.
2 weeks into the job and I got arrested.
Okay.
And I got a letter put on me saying that I've got to stay away from them. I've already shown the court this. And the end of date.
The court?
Yeah, the tribunal.
Right, so you lost your job
Yeah.
by the time you got to the tribunal?
Because on the letter I've got from you lot, it says that it's LSC has access, what you've just said, right, and I know for a fact that GHP employability are in with them, as with Job Centre Plus, DWP, and also Circle. LSC run banks like TSB, Lloyds.
LSC don't run anything like that at all.
So what have they done?
They're the Legal Services Commission, formerly known as the Legal Aid Board.
Well, that's on Labour marketing system, because there's a part key yet, which I've already had.
Sorry, I cracked up one.
Right, start from the beginning.
Right, Mr. Ferris, I'm a very busy man who's found time to speak to you today because I believe you might want to talk about your case.
But there is no case, that's the date. You lot binded off straight out at the tribunal. I got a letter day after.
With the greatest respect, Mr. Ferris, our lot have not binned anything off. We've worked very hard to try and put a case forward for you through several months of instructions from you and put a case to the tribunal that we believed was the best case we could put forward.
You mean like how there were errors on a day when they'd scrubbed it out and then you turned it around?
All of which was pointed out to the tribunal.
Yeah, and what did they do about it? They believed them because they were taking backhanders.
I can't argue that a tribunal has weighed up evidence and weighed it one way unless it's absolutely and manifestly unfair. A tribunal is there to make those judgments. That's its job.
Yeah.
You might disagree with the decision, but as long as the judge has made the relevant considerations and has made a decision based on their judicial position, then in law that is the right thing to do. If we believe that the evidence didn't substantiate what the judge believes to have been the outcome, we have an error of law that we could take further. But we don't have that in the papers that I've seen. What we have are a number of things that you said on the day and that were reported in the record of proceedings quite fully that basically led them to believe that there were inconsistencies between what you believed to have happened prior to that job becoming available, which you said you weren't notified of, for example.
No, I weren't until later on.
You told the tribunal that you were notified of it in January.
No, I didn't say that. I've had that conversation recorded.
At the tribunal?
Yeah.
So you recorded the tribunal?
Yeah.
Were they aware that you recorded it?
No, but I kept it
They
for
have
evidence.
admissible evidence then in any event.
So I know exactly what they said to me.
Okay, Mr. Ferris, we've been through all of this before when you recorded Job Centre Plus. You've been to the tribunal, the date being scrubbed out, for example, was explained by the judge, and it's quite a reasonable explanation. It may not be a true explanation, but it's something that the judge has to consider. When the papers for the tribunal needed to be produced for your appeal, that system would have printed off any standard letters that were on it on the day they were printed off.
You mean like how I got a letter the day after, which I found very strange. She told me...
I'm not really that concerned, Mr. Ferris, whether you find it strange or not, simply because all of those issues that you're now beginning to describe, I already know about. And all of those issues were put into my submission, which you approved, to go to the tribunal. You were then advised by me on the issues that we believed might get you a result, and you went to a tribunal. The tribunal considered the evidence, it considered your oral submissions on the day and your answers to their questions, and it made a decision. That is the job of the tribunal. Now, if that tribunal makes a decision that is so far away from the evidence in front of it that no reasonable tribunal could have made that decision, then you have grounds for a further appeal. But there are no such considerations in this case. Every one of the conclusions on each of the three appeals that the judge raised and noted were explained fully, in my view, with adequate reasons given as to why the judge found the way that they did. Because of that, there isn't an appeal on an error of law or an error of procedure upon which we can proceed.
But to be honest, you lot really, according to on your website, you lot only deal with family as a law. You don't deal with like civil servants, which I've learnt that one.
Mr. Fairhurst,
And I'm not joking.
we
it's all
are
over.
amongst the first half a dozen private firms of solicitors in the country to undertake welfare benefits advice, and we've been doing it very successfully since about 1987.
Really? Where many cases have you won? Because it seems to me like they've all been binned out of
I wouldn't like to
tribunal.
give you a figure because I don't know the figure of how many we've won, but we do have many marketing campaigns and have had over the years which give an average of roughly how many appeals we win, and that is way above 70%. So I think we do a pretty good job.
But I thought you didn't know the figures. Doesn't matter.
I said we've had campaigns in the past where we've given an estimate that we win well over 70%. I couldn't give you the exact number because we don't have that data. We could find that data out if we so wanted to, but with no real reason to do so, because our success as a company in welfare benefits law is underpinned and I think substantiated by the fact that we get repeat business all the time in welfare benefits benefits and deal with somewhere in the region of 2,500 cases a year. So I don't think we'd have been doing that for the best part of whatever it is now, 20, 25 years, without having some success.
Right. And there was something else that cropped up as well, and about compensation you mentioned. I don't want compensation, I wanted my money back. That would the end of it, and it never happened.
Well, compensation, restoration is getting money back.
It's not. Compensation is where you're suing somebody or you've been in some sort of injury. You see,
I'm not even really aware as to what you're referring when we said compensation. You bear with me, I'll look at the letter I sent to you.
Yeah, it's like you made a lot of mistakes on it. You put Mr. G first, and then what you've done on the date is you put 12th of August 2012. It's amazing for a solicitor how to make that many mistakes. What? Well, I letter what you recently sent me, and it's got a lot of mistakes on it. Now it's strange for a pre-legal is not a full solicitor, they're actually a trainee solicitor.
Paralegal is actually what Carrie was.
Yeah, that's what you have as well, because it says on that letter. Oh yeah? Well, it says pre-legal. Paralegal on that letter.
Paralegal?
Yeah.
That is a mistake, but I don't really think that matters too much, does it?
Well, it does, because it's on paper. It's proof.
What does it actually...
Because at the end of the day,
you in any way?
it's not harm me, it's just at the end of the day really, if that ever did come to evidence or anything, it says pretty paralegal and it puts you in...
Evidence of what, Mr. Fairhurst? Evidence that I've made a mistake in not putting legal executive instead of paralegal?
Well, you should put your own job what you are, I mean, it'll
really,
look back
I should,
on that.
and I've already said I'm sorry if that has caused you any problem. But I don't really think that it's a massive issue to put paralegal over my head instead of legal executive. I think that's a very minor point that means nothing to anyone. If anything, it should mean something to me because I've actually undervalued my own role.
Well, really, it should matter to somebody because what happens if they won't get in contact with you, even though through that number and you say paralegal and people say what? And so,
Please sign and enclose copies of the statements of reasons heard on the 12th of September 2011. After receiving an incomplete statement, I put 2012 instead of 2011. Mr. Fairhurst, it's not again. I thought you were serious about wanting to win your appeal. What you seem hell-bent on is picking people up on what is a very inconsequential mistake in a date.
well, for a solicitor, all I'm saying is a solicitor makes a mistake, it's unreal. And it's true, it is. Look, for a professional solicitor.
Let's have a look at the consequence of that mistake. Okay. I've already said in the previous paragraph that the tribunal was on the 12th of September 2011. There's been a slip of the keys in putting 2012 instead of 2011 in the next paragraph. Both you and I are fully aware that the tribunal took place on the 12th of September 2011.
Well, why are they pushing it forward a year?
No, I'm not pushing it forward.
Okay, let's put it this way.
Mr. Fairhurst, I've made a genuine mistake in putting a 2 instead of a 1 on a letter. In the previous paragraph, I've already confirmed the correct date of the tribunal. You are fully aware of the correct date of the tribunal, which couldn't have possibly occurred in a date that's not even happened yet, so it's clearly a minor error in a letter.
But it has happened, it's been done, that tribunal.
Yes, and it's confirmed on the 12th of September 2011 in the first sentence of my letter. And I've subsequently made a very minor error in putting a 2 instead of a 1 on the next paragraph. Well, if that in your mind is a serious error, all I can suggest is that if you wanted to raise that with the Office for Supervision of Solicitors, you're more than welcome to try, because there is absolutely nothing in that is anything other than a minor mistake for which I apologise, but which makes no difference to the case whatsoever, in any way, shape or form.
But it does, because that's why they threw it out to court, because it's 2012.
No, Mr. Fairhurst, that's a letter to you, not to the court or to the tribunal or anyone else. It's one slip of one key, which has already been confirmed in the previous sentence to be the date of the actual tribunal. What you seem intent on doing today, you've come in, you've questioned your legal aid funding and the ability to disclose information about your financial circumstances, which has already been explained to you in a letter, but you've chosen to misunderstand or misconstrue it somewhere, thinking that the LSC has something to do with...
Well, they do, because I signed a form saying it.
They have absolutely nothing to do with the banking industry. They're currently under Home Office rule, about to change to the Ministry of Justice because the Legal Aid Board changed into the Legal Services Commission about 10 or 11 years ago. And is a government department that has been around for years and years, since 1948 in fact, when legal aid was first offered to the people in this country to assist them in their legal advice needs. It's a government department that funds legal work for people who are eligible because of not having enough means to pay for their own legal work. You've accessed that scheme. You've accessed that scheme in order to help you with this appeal, and I've been more than happy to help you in this appeal.
I started off with Carrie, how come I ended up with you?
Because Carrie wanted the matter to go to someone with a deal more expertise. Because the case was complicated.
Yeah.
Also, you weren't very happy with Carrie's advice on a number of occasions. As it seems you're now not happy with my advice on a number of occasions.
No, because I just find that at the end of the day, for a Stephensons solicitors, you don't really deal with that sort of law.
Well, again, if you wish to raise that as an issue with anyone, you're more than welcome to do that. Our track record in this area of law is as good, if not better, than anyone else's, and I'll stand by that.
Fine, right, but I know for a fact that
if you look on our website, we have a specific and dedicated department that deals with welfare benefits, and as I've already explained to you, Mr. Fairhurst, we've been doing it since 1987. We were either the first or amongst the first half dozen solicitors in this country to do welfare benefits law, going back over 24 years now. So, for you to suggest that we don't have expertise in welfare benefits law, I'm afraid is simply wrong. End of story.
Yeah, they said you made the job centre post win, as per usual. And there's been more cases as well, which I've read up on, about Stephensons solicitors, how they actually make job centre post win through taking backhanders. I've got evidence on that.
Right, okay. Well, if you have such evidence, Mr. Fairhurst, even though I work here, I would strongly recommend that you raise that evidence with somebody who can investigate that. Because, quite honestly, you are talking nonsense.
I don't think I am.
Please feel free to unprove it.
I will. I already have.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah. Oh, and don't bother about the legal aid. I'm already back on JSL. I sorted that problem out myself.
Your legal aid's ended because the case is ended, so you know.
Okay. Right. Thanks for your time, Peter. Don't need it. Okay. Bye-bye. Right. 1:45 AM. Stephensons solicitors. I've got him.